all of our fearless leaders all here today. Hey, y'all. How are you? Go ahead and give us a hello. We've got chat. We've got plenty of folks that are getting on here. So let's use some chat right here to find out, give some shout outs to where everybody is hanging out today. And there we go. We got some folks there from Greer. Happy to hear from you. Well, welcome to Tate Talk Live for July of 2023. Can you all believe that this is our July Tate Talk?
Hard to believe.
It's hard to believe we're going into the second half of the year, Sonny, and we're happy to be here to talk through what it looks like to get into the second half of 2023 to make sure that we are achieving the goals, that our agents are achieving the goals that they set at the beginning of the year. I think we're all a fan of the 12-week year. Allison, I know that's something y'all really focused on in your office. And so this is maybe the next 12 weeks. And then what do we do the 12 weeks after that to maximize the year? So this is Tate Talk Live for July. A couple of housekeeping items. It looks like we have folks that are really using that chat. I love it. Seeing that we have some folks that are giving shout outs to everybody. Love that. Also remember that if you have a question for the panel, please use the Q&A. The Q&A allows us to make sure that questions don't get lost in the chat. I am going to be asking some questions of the group throughout the Tate Talk Live today, and I do want those answers to go in chat so we can get some interaction. And we're going to talk to our panelists here, our fearless leaders, as I said. I want to hear from you all. What has been, let's use the chat agents. What's been the best thing in regards to business that's happened in the first half of the year for you, in the first half of the year? I'm going to start off script, leaders. I hope that that's okay. Are you okay? I know that's exactly what you wanted to hear.
Perfect. Just like you, Maggie.
I know, but you've got this. You've got this.
Yeah.
Allison, you were just saying that you have your agents, you've been doing these halftime check-ins.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you, Allison, first do a quick introduction of yourself. And I want to hear what are some themes that you're hearing from your agents the first half of the year of what's been working.
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
Perfect. Allison Smith. I am with the Charlotte Center City office. And yes, we have been doing some halftime meetings, just doing like a quick look back that you can either do with your branch leader or just even do with yourself. What's been coming out of it is the success stories are around your sphere and being in touch with your people and specifically catering your messages to them and making sure that you're connecting. So that I would say is the biggest thing that's coming out of it is make sure you're staying in front of everybody and connecting.
Yeah, this is a relationship business.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it's really easy to do, but it's also really easy not to do some of the things that work over and over again. I bet all of you saw the ninja tip of the day for this Monday, and it was about not chasing the shiny object. That was good, wasn't it, Sonny? Don't chase the shiny object. Good. Sonny, what about you? What are you hearing from your agents that's been working for the first half of the year? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, Sonny Eiler, I'm with the Asheville Mountain region. Happy to be here today. Thanks for asking me to be here, Maggie. Appreciate that. I manage the Hendersonville office, Champion Hills, Saluda, Brights Creek, and Lake Lure offices. So happy to be here, as I said. You know, we've had a trying year this year. We were lucky enough to go through an acquisition with the Tate family and become part of the Tate family this year. So we have been busy learning your tech stack, if you will, your tools and softwares, which are ours now too. So we're grateful for that. So we've enjoyed doing that. But I tell you, on top of that, it's been very busy. Everybody's been into the office working. You know, showing up is important for so many of our agents. And just doing the business of real estate. There's two parts of it. There's doing the business and there's obtaining the business. And obtaining the business it's easy. It's about your sphere. It's about communicating. It's about overcoming the great divide that we had for the last 2 years where we didn't have to get in touch with people. So we've got to relearn those habits, and a lot of the team here have worked hard at reacclimating themselves to those high gain activities, and that's just being in touch with people.
I feel like we could mic drop already with understanding what we've got to make sure we're focusing on. Kelly, I know that you are a big business planner. If Kelly could pull out her business plan for the year that she uses for the office, it's probably tattered because she looks at it weekly and makes edits. And so that also tells me that you do a lot of business planning with your agents. Would you introduce yourself and tell us what have you been hearing from your agents that have helped with success of this first half of the year?
Yes. Hey, I'm Kelly Smith from Greenville downtown, and I do love business planning. I love it being a living, breathing document because things get scrapped throughout the year. And this is a really good time to look back and say, hey, I said I was going to do this in the spring. Maybe I could do this for the fall. So we're getting back to basics. You know, it's tried and true, but getting the open houses, getting at the front desk, writing the love letters, all that stuff is really working for our agents and they're seeing success with it. So
that's good. And then Diane, I know you're also a big business planner, a ninja yourself. If you'll introduce yourself and where have you seen success for your agents in the first half of the year? And folks, don't forget in the chat, go ahead and put in the chat what you have seen as success for the first half. Donna said repeat customers, and we love seeing that. That's a good, consistent business. So Diane, what about you?
I'm Diane Kuiper. I am in the Indian Land and Lancaster, South Carolina offices, holding down the South Carolina contingent here. You know, it's interesting with business planning. One of my favorite things to do is to go back and say, what activities, what focus did you have the last time you had your big success? And it is amazing to me how many people find out that they're not doing what has brought them success all along. And kind of tagging onto that is I loved the don't chase the shiny object, because where we're seeing success is we have kind of come out of a time when things were moving so quickly that you just dealt with what was right in front of your face. And the concept of a pipeline sort of went by the wayside. And so what we're finding success is going back to maybe that person that wasn't ready right then and needed attention right then and rekindling that relationship. And we're having some success at doing that.
I love to hear that. I love it. That's so good. I was just with our Winner's Edge group today, Diane, and it reminds me, we were talking about networking and social groups and where are you spending some intentional time, either focusing on your sphere, but then how are you growing your sphere so you can build the pipeline, because it's not a one-for-one business. And sometimes we can get so focused on those folks that need help right now that we forget about those that we talked to 6 months ago or a year ago. So are we keeping the hot and warm list? Okay, I'm back on agenda. Okay, just so that you know. I'm just going to call on you randomly. And here, something I'm really interested in is, what are some things that on the second half of the year, if we've just talked about what's been successful in the first half, and we know that the answer is also staying in touch with your sphere. So if that was going to be one of your answers, then you can mark that off the list. Let's talk a little bit beyond that, or let's say go deeper. So what are some things that you see agents as you're doing these halftime meetings, looking at the second half, that they really need to focus on for their business and growing their business in the second half? So Diane, I'm going to come right back to you. What would you say they need to focus on?
People and numbers, and in that order, because at the end of the day, you have to be an intentional listener. It is so easy to get to the end of our day and just sort of be exhausted and have a conversation with someone and miss something that states that that person is at a crossroads. And that crossroads or that catalyst moment that we have missed. And so that's really on the people side. On the number side, we also have to be acutely aware of, to be able to compare and contrast local and regional and national numbers. And we've got so many avenues of finding that information, but we have to be able to respond immediately, intentionally, with valuable information when someone says, how's the market?
So you're talking about some of the tools that we have. What would you say are your top 2 favorite in regards to stats, maybe 2 or 3 that agents could be using if they're not already?
I love FHFA for your bigger picture. Sam for your more local picture. And then of course, the addition of Live by Local just added an amazing graphic for some of those numbers that we can find, because people tend to be visual. And if we can have those at the ready, then we can have those, but we need to internalize those numbers on a daily basis because things change.
Good. And so let me give some clarification. FHFA.gov does a quarterly house price index report. You can always find that under 8-week documents, under business, under home physicals. We keep the latest one there. There's a YouTube video that's linked on the first page. It's great to watch. It helps give that big national view. And then you mentioned SAM. And so for everybody that's not, I don't know that everybody has SAM, a statistical analysis module offered through some of our MLSs, but more importantly, or as a more general idea, is what does your MLS have available to create statistics, to be able to look at statistics. Thank you for mentioning Live by Local. I love their market report. It gives some good information there. Very good, very good. Okay, let me come over to Allison. What about you? What should agents be focusing on when you think about strategy for the second half of the year?
Oh, I am a huge fan of habits. So I think this is a really great time of year to also look back and look at yourself, both personally and professionally, at what your habits are. And what do you do first thing in the morning? What does that look like? Are you actually doing your gratitudes, or whatever it is that makes you run, gives you the energy for your day? Is that happening, or is it not? Is it time to do a shift and switch that up and do something new? What habits professionally are you doing? Are you time blocking, and making sure that you have enough time to talk to your sphere, or to reach out, or to go to that networking event? Are you actually intentionally setting up your schedule so that you can be in different places and make sure that you're still connecting with people in addition to helping your clients that you're currently working with? So I think it's really important time of the year to look at your habits, because it's not too late to change course or adjust, and then now set yourself up for the rest of the year and into 2024. What we do now is going to help us not only for fall, but it's going to set us up for next 6 months, hit January 1. So, we got to be really careful there about our habits and making sure we don't. It's summertime, so we're all wanting to have some fun this summer, but it's a really good time to also make sure that you're dialing that back down, I think.
Would you agree that when it comes to habits, we need to show ourselves some grace, a little bit of time?
Yes.
Sometimes,
sure.
and I know that it's shocking, but there's quite a few folks that are on this call that are pretty driven, type A, perfection personalities. And so when it comes to habits, if we fall down on one, sometimes we can throw our hands up and say, what's the point? So show yourself some grace if there was a habit you had tried to implement, and you don't have to do a complete 180, but what can you do to make a little bit of a tweak? That's perfect. I love it. Let's see, Kelly, what about you?
So I think agents should be focusing on their client appreciation events, get those on the calendar for the rest of the year. We're halfway through July. Christmas is right around the corner. Book your holiday parties, get them on the calendar. You're hearing it here first, and you're going to thank me later when all that's available and you're freeing up time later because you're not sweating. So get that stuff taken care of now. Along with the rest of your summer and your fall pop-bys, get them planned, get them taken care of, ordered, whatever you have to do, but get them done so you can really focus third and fourth quarter on the actual business. And what can you outsource for maybe pre-assistant work? Maybe you're getting to that point where you're feeling that I'm busy, but I'm not yet there for an assistant. What could you be thinking about that you can hire for project work, like these pop-bys, some of that stuff?
I love it. This was all very flow focused. So what are you doing to stay in flow with your people when looking at the second half? I guarantee you that somebody just did a little bit of a freak out going, oh my gosh, I forgot that I do need to book something. So Kelly, thank you for saving the day. Maybe ordering cards for the fall. So whatever holidays you want to order cards for, go ahead and get those ordered. And Kelly, for clarity, can you give a little explanation when you say pop buys? What are pop buys?
So our pop-bys are what you're popping by with to drop off, is in terms of a little goodie, a little card made on Canva with your information. Recently, a newer agent brought me a loaf of bread, as well as his neighbors introducing himself. those are things that, you know, especially when it's made with love, I mean, that goes a long way, right? So what can you pop by with this summer? Grill kits, mustard, ketchup, condiments. I've seen some cute little things put together for that, for barbecues. Lots of ideas.
Oh, I love that. Can you give one pop by idea for the fall or the winter and going into the second half?
One thing I love to do, and I'm happy for anyone to take this on because I like to get ahead of it. So October 1st, get on your calendar, maybe October or September 25th. You're gonna have to start looking for them, but the pumpkins, get a pumpkin, especially for families, get the carving kit, get a little Canva card, get the carving kit tied around the pumpkin stem, put it on their front step. You don't even have to tell them, right? Then you're freeing up more time because you don't have to talk to them, but they come home to this pumpkin. And then if you take it a step further and do a contest carving kit, tag me on social media. You can have all sorts of fun. So,
Brilliant, brilliant. And your pop buys, and then we'll move on. Pop buys should really be for your top part of your, like your sphere, your core group, clients that you've worked with. Is that who your pop buys are going to?
yep, because pumpkins can get expensive. If you want to do
Yes.
smaller things that are, you know, dollar scratch offs or, you know, something a little more inexpensive, you can go that route. But pumpkins can get, especially the bigger they get, a little more expensive. So
Perfect. That's good. Sunny, what about you? What should agents really be focusing on?
I think that one of the most important things that we do as ninjas is our mindset. We have a choice every day of when we wake up, what our day is going to be like, how we're going to face that day, whether we're going to be in a high positive quadrant, a low quadrant, what we're going to be. We have that choice every day. We believe that mindset's so important. We're going to run a five class deep dive mindset right before the ninja installation that's coming up in September. I think the other thing that's important is get up, dress up, and show up. You're going to find that you're going to get a lot of synergy from being around your colleagues in the office. And not only that, you know, when people start to know, like, and trust you in your offices, there is a thing called spin business, because sometimes we all get so busy that we can't handle everything. So I think there's an opportunity to pick some business up in your offices if you're there and present and you start knowing and mixing and mingling with people. Another strategy that I think we ought to be applying right now is we need to be going through our database. The database is an evolving, living document, as we said before. And what I would recommend right now, because we've been through this great divide and we haven't had conversation with people, numbers may be old, emails may be old, addresses may be old. If you've got contact, I would recommend that you divide your database up and make 5 calls a day until you get through every single person. And from doing that, you will go through an exercise of the ones that you can call and the ones that you want to save. It will give you a new, fresh look on that database. And it doesn't hurt to do a couple of move scores. You know, when you're going through looking at your best clients and looking at your warm list, do some move scores, see where they are in their move possibility. Get back in flow with your sphere of influence. Again, the great divide, we know that we've been away from our sphere, but the biggest thing I think that we really need to be doing is just focusing on our Ninja 9. Ninja 9 is a proven process that if we focus on that, especially the easy high gain actions that are 2 personal notes a day, real easy. Home physicals, we've got all the great tools to produce those. We could do those in about 15 minutes. They're effective if we do them before we call and say we have them. Don't call and say, do you want one? Call and say, I've done it. Let me come by, I'll drop it off to you. It makes it real easy. And then open houses. Open houses is a great way. We're seeing, I had some reports from agents over the weekend. A couple agents had over 30 couples that came through on some open houses. So it's a great time right now to be just back to the good principles of things. And by all means, when you're working with buyers and sellers, don't forget your 16-step seller process and don't forget your 10-step buyer process. You know, people enjoy it. Think of it this way. When you go to a restaurant and somebody takes your order, they don't write it down. Are you nervous your food's going to be correct or not? Same thing. If you've got a process, you take your process with you, you ask the questions, and you say, I'm going to do this because I want to do the same process with everybody so I don't miss anything. And I make sure I give you valued expert service.
Sunny, let me ask you one follow-up question. You talked about mood scores, and I know a lot of folks have heard of a mood score, but some have not. Would you take just a minute to talk about what a mood score is and the super basics of how an agent would go about looking at a mood score?
Yeah, move scores is a ninja strategy that's used, and basically it's a series of questions that you go through. You'd print your database out on a list, and what you would do is you'd go through each individual person and ask a series of questions that you would score, and then based on that score, you'll get a result that will tell you where they are in the process. It's very eye-opening, especially with those warm prospects that are getting ready to move, but they don't know it yet. It gives us the ability to be somewhat of a detective to find out more about what's getting ready to happen in their life.
I love it. So if you want more on the move score, this is where we're going to do a shameless plug. Then you need to go to the Ninja installation in September 5th through the 8th. We've got that in Asheville. So we're not going to go any deeper, Sunny, because I want them to go to the Ninja installation to find out more about the move score. Great. I'm going to go to the chat for just a minute to hear what other folks are doing. So let's see here. Those real estate reviews and home physicals are a part of the second half of the year. I love this. Thank you. Let's see here is remember real estate is a marathon, not a sprint. And so it's about what we're planning to do today that's going to help us tomorrow. It's not what we're doing today that's necessarily going to come to fruition today. Snail mail. Steve's looking at snail mail with information. So Steve is our stats man. And what are the stats? How are things looking compared to since 2010? Love that. Stephanie, you had a big shred event. I saw that on social media. Congratulations, a big shred event. And you had over 165 leads in 2 hours, 12 in-depth conversations with people in line. Love that. And then the question, I love this question. Marcus, where would I go to sign up for the next Ninja installation? If you go to H Suite, thank you for asking, and click on professional development, there is a button there for the Ninja installation, and registration is right there. So go, hurry now, sign up. Very good. Let's continue this activities conversation from where Sunny started and talk about some activities. Allison, let me come back to you. What are some other activities? I feel like the first half of what we've talked about was strategy. What are the strategies that people are focusing on? And Sunny gave a lot of people focused, the tactics within the strategies. Let's keep this tactic conversation. Allison, what have you got?
Yeah, I would add to what Sunny was saying about the open houses too, is, it's not just having an open house, throw it on social media and put a sign in the ground. I mean, yes, that's a great start, but use that as an opportunity to market yourself in the neighborhood, go knock on doors, make sure you're getting in touch with everybody you possibly can, reach out to your database and make sure they know you're having an open house. I've seen a lot of our agents in our offices are having a lot of success with the open houses and getting leads. And, like Diane had mentioned too, they might not be ready right today, but it's building that pipeline for 6 months from now, a year from now, or whatever. But I think that, we've gotten again to that hurry up and you've got to do things real quick. And so I'm just going to put it on social media real quick on the Friday before, and then I'm going to put the sign on the ground on Saturday and open my house. Well, you've now wasted, I think, the entire week prior to that, where you can spend a whole lot of time getting to know some other people, getting out and networking and having an excuse to call people and just even reach out. Anything that we can do to have an excuse to call somebody, and it could be a 5-minute phone call, just to say, hey, I'm having an open house, would love to see you. If you can have time and you're in the area, stop by. No one's going to get mad at you for that kind of phone call. So I think that using that opportunity and really expanding your reach, I think is something that we should consider.
Great. Diane, when we were talking earlier, you were talking about statistics, and there was a question in the Q&A about showing time data. Showing time does have some good reports that they have for sellers right there in their report section. Some of our MLSs also have showing data within their system. I know the statistical analysis module that Canopy MLS has includes some showing trends, showing how showings are going in the trends. But yeah, showing time does have some reports there that you could use to show sellers where things are trending, especially breakdown and price point. And what I love is the idea of that where they can see that bridge pricing, that if I was priced a little higher or a little lower, am I going to have a huge increase in the number of showings and the number of eyeballs on the property? Diane, what are some activities, some tactics that agents should be focusing on?
So this wasn't on my list, but you brought it up, so I'm going to expand on it. One of the other reports that MLS has is if you just go to MLS and go to the reports section, you can pull all kinds of things. One of those is going to be your expireds, to take a look at those if that's an activity that you want to do. Most of the activities that I'm going to suggest is making sure that people know who you are and know what you do. So get involved in neighborhood activities. Join 2 groups that you're passionate about, because the minute that you do that, you are in lockstep with this group of people already. There's already some trust that's built there because you're both passionate, or you're all passionate about the same thing. But the one thing I would suggest is buy some Tate swag, get a shirt, get a hat, something that's casual and not so forward of wearing your name tag. Because you want to identify, excuse me, you want to identify, but you want to do it in a non-hit someone over the head way. So if you're just happen to be wearing swag, that's much less casual, or that's much more casual than something formal like wearing your name tag. The other thing that I would say is make sure that you are being active and not passive. So rather than waiting for the business to come to you, talk with your leaders to find strategies to go out and find the business. So as an example, you could look for a neighborhood that you wanted to farm, look when they bought it, what their loan value was. Maybe they now have more than 20% equity and they could potentially drop PMI if it's a conventional. Wouldn't you like to be the superhero? It's not going to necessarily get you a listing or a buy, but it's going to make you a superhero when people talk about their superheroes.
Very good. Very good. Kelly, do you have anything that you want to add?
So I would say to get involved in Fun Day. This is a great way to jumpstart your business as a new agent. And also for experienced agents, this is a great touch, a great reason to reach out, to connect with, even past teachers in your kids' lives. It's a great, there's so many avenues that you can drum up business out of getting involved with Fun Day. Talk to your branch leader. They have a million ideas, trust me. But for me, this was catapult. I was a brand new agent in 2015 and I joined, and I knew I had to get involved somehow. And so I highly encourage anyone new on the call, really get involved in Fun Day. It'll get you connected. It'll get you connections. It'll build your sphere. Another one too is try to go and network in the places that you're the only realtor. So we heard about a business development meeting out in the Mountain Lakes this morning with an upstate marine company. And those people, if you're networking in the right places, people buying $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 boats are also buying pretty expensive homes, right? So try to network in the places that you are the only realtor. I know it's hard, but think like that.
That's great. That's great. And then when it comes to Fun Day, one other thing that I love about Fun Day is also networking with the other agents that are in different parts of the region that you might be able to refer business with across those. So thank you for mentioning Fun Day. I know Fun Day, Kelly, has always been very near and dear to your heart and something that has been important. So thank you for sharing that. So good. All right, let's go on to the next one. We've talked about strategies, the tactics. Let's talk about some of the resources that agents have that maybe they need to reassess, they need to look at, that they're going to, they need to get to know and see how they can use those resources. And this is not talking about necessarily technology or any of our tech stack. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but what are some tools or resources outside of the basic, our internal tech stack that agents should be focusing on. So Diane, I'm going to come to you first. You've already mentioned when it comes to knowing your statistics, and you mentioned a few of the resources that are there. Anything else that you want to add?
Yes, you're talking tech, so that's my language. So the other thing on MLS, I call it the morning newspaper. So, and all MLSs are going to be set up a little bit differently, but Canopy in our area has your dashboard with everything on it. And one of the little blocks that's on there shows what has come active, what's coming soon, what's under contract, those sorts of things. And I call that the morning newspaper. If you set that up and you personalize it to the area that you're interested in, you can look at that in 3 to 5 minutes every morning, and you're not intending to memorize it. You're just taking it in. You're just letting it wash over you so that you can, off the top of your head, pull a neighborhood and say, oh, in that neighborhood, they're about this price point. Things are turning over. Things aren't turning over. The ages and those sorts of things. So it's an easy way to become an expert on a big field. The other couple of things that I'm passionate about is QR code everything. QR code everything. The best QR code that I have found is through Linktree. Linktree it allows you to create, and this is a little bit techie, but it allows you to create a URL code that instead of having a QR code take you to one place, you can actually have it take multiple places. The beautiful thing about it is that once you create it, you would then go from Linktree to logodesign.net, and I'm just throwing these out there, we'll get back with them, to customize what your QR code looks like. But once you create that, you can go in after the fact and change where it's going to. You can change the orders. If you have a listing, just throwing this out there, if you have a listing, you may want to create a rider with that QR code on there, scan here for more information, put that listing at the top of your list. It's amazing. It's wonderful. You can also put it on your business cards, and it gives people so much more information than just static what's on your business card. Sorry, I'm a little excited.
I love you nerding out on that, Diane. And I'm going to ask you if you will put both of those in the chat. I wrote them down, but I know that some folks are saying, hey, what was that? And so if you can put those in the chat as well. Kelly, let me come back to you real quick. We've had some questions. What is Fun Day? Can you describe Fun Day? I'm sure some of our Asheville Mountain folks or agents that are new to the company. What is Fun Day?
Yes. So Fun Day has been going on for over 25 years, I believe, right? We're probably pushing 30 within the Allen Tate company. And it is our fall fundraiser that we give back to our public education. So our schools within our counties, we determine what schools, what counties the money goes toward, but it is completely run by us as agents and leaders, staff, all hands on deck. A one day, I think Charlotte, you guys kind of do a full day sometimes. The upstate does a nighttime event, and we invite in our sponsors as home builders, attorneys, vendors, anyone you work with in your everyday business. And some of those vendors could be pretty out of the norm too. It doesn't have to fit in the box of, home building or buying or selling. It could be, you could have cookies, you could have cakes, pastries, anything you wanted. So that's why I say the connections that could be made through this, it could start really small, and you could end up getting a relationship with somebody that could then help just your business, right? So, Fun Day, it is our once a year public education fundraiser in the fall, and we are all very passionate about it.
Good. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you for clarifying. Sunny, what are some other resources that agents have at their fingertips that you would love for them to look at in more detail? And then we're going to talk technology in a few minutes.
Sure. I think that Diane touched on SAM, the statistical analysis module, and there is so much more in there than just stats. If you've got a subdivision that sells lots, townhomes, condos, residential, you can pull all of those stats at one time and have those all on one graphic in one neighborhood. You can also send that as a live link, which will stay as a live link for 30 days to the recipient, so it updates itself automatically. You can print it. It makes a great printed version, but there's also data in there where if you want to take a look at what's happening with showing services, if you want to take a look at what's happening with the rental business, there's a lot of good data in there that's going to help you with that. So that's one. The other thing that I think that was mentioned was the Federal Housing Finance Agency.org. And one thing that I'll touch on there that we didn't touch on is the home price index calculator. That's a great tool just to show people just what their raw appreciation is by an address. It's a simple calculation by putting in the date they purchased the house, what their purchase price was, what the latest quarter that's out there by FHFA. You plug that in there, it gives you a nice little graphic. It's a great tool to get people thinking about listing their property and the equity that they can revive. And I do want to plug this real quick, if I may, Maggie.
Yeah.
I think one tool that we have that's an internal tool that I think that we miss are just listed and just sold postcards. We talk about farming and things, but that's a great tool if you divide your database up into groups of 4s. And every time you list or sell something, if you will send one group, the next group, and just rotate it like that, the idea is that postcard comes, they get it out of the mailbox, they carry it to the house, they throw it in the trash can, it's done its job.
They saw your face.
Saw your face, that's right.
That's excellent. So good. Allison, what about you? What are some other tools or resources out
Okay.
there and available to the agents?
Speaking of seeing your face, I would say your online profiles. It's really, really important that we make sure that we are, number one, visible. Can people find you, right? But number two, what does it say about you? And if you think about it, we are a society now of whether it's something that we're going to purchase or somewhere that we're going to go visit. What is the first thing we do? We jump online and we look at those reviews. What are the reviews? What are people saying about that hotel? Or what is somebody saying about that car dealership or anything really? How many, typically the first thing I'll do is I'll even go just to see the number. How many are there? Is that something on Amazon I want to buy? Is there 20,000 reviews or one? So I think that that's something that you need to make sure in your online profiles that your testimonials are very visible. And then also too, if it was just a quick scan, what would it say about you? What does it say about you as an agent? Not only that, but what does it say about you as a person? Can people personally connect to you through your online profiles and feel like that they your image resonates with them, which then means that you might have them reach out to you.
That's good. It's halftime. It's a good time to go and make sure all of that information is up to date.
Mm-hmm.
One that I don't think we pay enough attention to, Allison, is LinkedIn and making sure our LinkedIn profile is up to date and professional. Is there anything that we need to change? That's really good. Okay. And then Kelly, anything that we have not mentioned yet outside of Tate technology there's one big one we haven't talked about yet, Kelly. Is there something else that you wanted to add?
So I would say a couple things real quick. Social media, we're all familiar with the older platforms, Facebook, Instagram, possibly. TikTok's really taken real estate by storm. I've had a lot of agents get leads off of it, and now we have Threads. So if you've not explored those, I think the first, and I don't know that MySpace made a return, Brett, but if it does, let us know. But if you're the first on those sites, it seems to be that the first in, seems to get the early bird gets the worm, I guess. So I would check them out.
Get on and at least claim your name so you can, so it's there if you need it. Okay. All right, great. So we would be remiss if we didn't spend a little time talking internal technology. And I know everybody has their favorites. And I'm going to ask this question a little bit differently. And I'm going to ask, it's going to be the same answers that you're prepared for, but let me ask it this way. Is that if you were an agent right now and you had the technology available at your fingertips, what do you really suggest that agents make sure that they're maximizing and why? So what is your favorite and why? Kelly, I'm going to come right back to you. Can you pick one? And then I might come back for a little extras. I want you to pick one.
For right now, I'll go with Active Pipe.
Okay, talk to me more about
Sorry,
that.
y'all.
Why
Sorry,
is that on top of
Allison.
your list?
So Active Pipe, I know we're all excited about that one, but it is just so easy to do. And it is something that I think agents have wanted to do for a long time. And now you have the ability at your fingertips to create the content and, you know, utilize all the information that Tate provides and Elevate, and just drag and drop and boom. You know, it's such a quick, easy tool to reach so many people. So I love it.
All right, great. All right, Allison, she took your number one. What's going to be another one that you think is fantastic?
All right, since I talked about the open houses, I will also put a plug in for Spacio. It connects directly into our Moxie, which then connects into our Active Pipe. So you don't have to do anything extra, right? So when you're doing those open houses, make sure that you are getting people to sign in. I think a lot of people have a hard time with that. And I've kind of done a little survey in my office to ask my agents, like, what do you say to people while you're at an open house to get them to sign in so it's not awkward and you don't feel like, you know, people are, you know, kind of not wanting to do that or give their personal information. And a lot of the times, you know, my agents will just say that you know, the seller has requested that we have everybody sign in. That's simple. Nothing, doesn't have to be fancy, but just simply the seller's requested that everyone signs in. They can take that for whatever it's worth. But I think if you get those names and you can get them in Spacio, and then you can throw them into your new newsletter that you're creating on Active Pipe, plug it again, then you'll be increasing your database more than you realize over and over.
So if you're already using Spacio, now's a good time to go in and learn more. Check in on the automated emails that go out. Are you using Moxie presentations and have a presentation either about the property, or maybe it's a generic presentation that you've created that's a hello from you, and maybe you've done a personalized video for the community? Then you can drop that into that open house and it will automatically, if it's set up, add it to your email. So also investigating a little bit deeper if you've been a Spacio user. Love that. It's so easy for folks to pick up and use. And I remember when we launched everything in 2019, it was the one that everybody was attracted to immediately, and probably first that and Moxie Present. Okay, let's see here. Sonny, what about you? What is your go-to if you were an agent today?
Sure. The one thing that I love, that I would have loved to have when I was selling, was Real Scout. And there's 3 reasons why. Right now, just to give you an example today, I had a duty agent that was on the phone that got not 1 call, but 2 calls today of listings that they saw on Zillow. And when we tried to cross-reference the listings in MLS, they were not there. They weren't for sale by owners. They were old listings that went off market some time back. Real Scout is the most accurate platform that's out there that can keep the consumer up to date the fastest with what's coming on the market and going off the market. The thing I like about it, it gets them off that third-party site, those third-party sites, and gets them onto a site where you're branded every time they go to that site to look for real estate. That's the first thing I love about it. Second thing I love about it is under the listing tab on the dashboard, there's a feature called Test the Market, where you can actually go in and you can put an address in. It will give you some statistics and some analysis of the number of people that are in our coffers that are looking in that particular area and that particular price range. It also gives you a nice heat map of the buyers that are working that area. The darker the colors, just like radar, the darker the color, the more people that are there going through it and looking at it. So those are a couple of the reasons why I think that that particular piece of software is so important. And the third reason I like it is the people that are receiving your information. You see the interaction of them opening the emails and what they're looking at. So when I see somebody's looked at a property 3 times, that would be a cue for me to say, probably to call that person and offer to take them on an appointment to see that property.
I don't think we have to keep that a secret from our clients either. I think it's important when you're meeting with them, say, this is why I want you to use it. I can actually see some of the activity and be able to follow up with you and so on and so forth. Make it transparent, not that you're being creepy and you can see they clicked on a property 4 or 5 times, but it's a part of that transparency. And the other thing I love about Real Scout, Sonny, is that it's all connected. You know, leads that come in from lead tracks, if it's associated with a property, it starts a search in Real Scout. Spacio leads go to Real Scout. And sometimes that consumer that you just met is already active in Real Scout, and you may not have had an opportunity yet to do your own physical follow-up. So it can really, it's all about, we hear from client relations, speed to lead. And so helping that consumer, that potential client, to get engaged as quickly as possible. All right, Diane, you're last of the four here, I believe. So with this, is there anything left? There's a lot left. What is your favorite?
You touched on it with respect to Spacio, but presentations is probably my favorite for the aspect of its versatility, because you can use it in conjunction with Spacio. You can use it as your buyer package or seller packets. You can drop in, make a video of yourself of introduction. Yes, everyone is terrified of video. You look like that, you sound like that. When they meet you, they're going to figure it out. It is okay to do that ahead of time. So go ahead and drop that in there. It's going to make you stand out from just getting a bunch of numbers from MLS. It's going to make you stand out. And the other really cool thing about presentations that Carol Hampton, who's the broker in charge at the Fort Mill office, tipped me off to a couple of years ago, was that not only can you email it, not only can you print it, you can also text it. So think about a buyer tour. Everybody every day has this in their hand. And if you text a buyer tour, they're going to have that, and it's going to be interactive for them as you're going around. So I love it because of its versatility.
That's fantastic. So Moxie presentations, getting in there, and if you've used the CMA portion, that's great. What are some of the kind of going a little bit deeper when it comes to tools? All right, so I've gone around one time. Is there anything for the four of you that you had on your list, and it's another one that's really important that you would want to make sure to talk about today with agents? Anybody have one? Diane, go ahead. You get a second round.
So it isn't really a technology, but it is a tool that we have. And a couple of years ago, Mark Bardot, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Bardot put out some farming letters. And those farming letters also could include a QR code. But I'm a huge fan of the fact that we have all of this support and all of the tips and tricks and tools. But if we don't use them, they're just there, right? So these letters are very, very well done. He's got a whole catalog of them that are available to us. The one thing that I will say is, and I kind of, when I geeked out about the QR codes earlier, the one thing I will say about those is make sure that at least one of the links that you're using for that goes back to a trackable system. So it's great to give the information out, but make at least one of your links something that will track who's clicking on your QR code.
Well, if there's anything that we've heard from today, is that we know that Diane is a big fan of the QR code. That's good.
One of the amazing things that came out of COVID was the fact that, because QR codes have been around for a long time. They were big, they were cutting edge. I was with them, the cutting edge, when they were coming out. Then they sort of went away. Then COVID hit, and every octogenarian knows what a QR code is if they went out to dinner somewhere.
That's it. It was the greatest comeback of 2020. Yep.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's really great. Okay, good. So let's see here. So that's good. Talking about those letters, you know what I did? Because I know somebody's going to say, hey, where do I find those letters? I went to Google Drive and just searched farming letters, and up popped farming letters. I think it's available for anybody. So if you go just search in your Google Drive folder there, you're able just to search. You should be able to. If not, ask your branch leader and they'll help you find it. You're welcome, branch leaders. All right, let's see here. Second time around.
All right.
What else?
I think we would be remiss not to talk about ChatGPT, of course, right?
Absolutely.
But it was on Kelly's list, so I'll let her really talk about it. But the only warning I'm going to give is to give very, very specific instructions when you do talk to it, and proofread, you guys, because guess what? It doesn't know that there are fair housing laws unless you tell it that there are. So be really, really careful about what's coming out. And if you are using it for, property descriptions or other, aspects of things that you're going to put on social media out in the public, make very, very certain that you are proofreading and making it your own words too, because we don't all just want a robot to be writing for us, right? So definitely an awesome tool. I'll let Kelly I'll defer to Kelly and let her talk more about it because I know she had it on her list too.
I know Diane did too. We all did. It's all top of mind. So it is kind of funny. Our branch service specialist pointed out to me she was browsing some of not just our listings, but she was in our MLS and she can spot listings with, use of ChatGPT. There's certain words that it definitely really likes. Lush landscaping. There's a couple words that really stood out that if you put them side by side, you can kind of point them out. So make sure you are putting your own fluff to it as well. But one thing I love, in addition to the presentation, if you're building your buyer seller presentations and you're putting in, especially for anyone relocating here, so for buyers, and you put in an itinerary to ChatGPT for your area. So you're coming to Greenville for 3 days and you have a little background of what this couple perhaps is like, maybe they're active, they like to bike, they like to, they're coming down here to retire and have some fun. I would build a killer itinerary of what it is they can do. We all know of all the good hot spots to go to and everything, but let ChatGPT do it for you. So that's something extra.
That's fun. That's fun. That's amazing that you can do that. And it'll just spit it right out for you. That's great. I'm going to have to say that just a focus from a Moxie Engage CRM perspective is are you using Engage CRM to track and keep track of your contacts and the conversations and interactions with your contacts, going into the profile and adding activity so that you can show long-term for yourself that you can go back and see what have been the past interactions. And then also in the future, what if you ever go to sell your business and you've got all of that history there that shows the interactions and how you stayed in touch. So checking how you're using Engage CRM, not just from an auto flow perspective, but from an activity perspective. And then we're talking about Chat GPT. It's not found in H Suite. It's just that the AI chat, it's not found on H Suite. So you can Google it. I'm sure the Google will know where it is. Okay. So we've talked here's my vision of what we've talked about today. Step one is it's mid-year. Sit down and look at what you've done so far this year that's been successful. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We just lost Kelly. I hope everything's okay. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Take a look and make sure that what you've done in the first half of the year, do I need to keep doing it? Do I need to make any changes? And as I look forward to the second half of the year, what are the strategies that I have in place that I need to look at and assess? And then from those strategies, what are the tactics that I'm using over the next 12 weeks and the 12 weeks after that to really maximize? I hear too often that I hear folks saying, well, real estate agents are slow in the summer. Everybody is off having vacations. And I think that's a little bit of a fib. Yes, we might take a vacation, and that's what a lot of people do, but you all are really working hard out there. And so looking at the next 12-week years, that will really then catapult you into the first quarter of 2024. We're already thinking about it and talking about it. And so what are your strategies? What are your tactics? Is there one new thing that you heard about today that you want to go investigate? Just one. You don't have to do all the things that all the leaders have, but is there just one thing that you want to focus on? So as we wrap up things today, I'm going to do a quick round robin here. And this was not planned, so I'm going to put you on the spot. What's one thing, and I'll go around, that you want agents to take an action on for the second half of their year? I'm giving you a second to think about it. Who wants to go first? Who's got something? What's the one thing? Sonny.
Okay, so I think it's important, and this is an exercise we should do regularly, is we should be looking at our business development and we should be evaluating the high gain activities that are producing income for us. And we should be looking at those activities that may not be high gain, that's consuming a lot of our time, creating frustration. We need to be eliminating those.
Perfect. Who's next? Allison, are you ready?
All right. I would say focus on 5 people a day or 5 people a week or 2 a day or 10 a week, whatever your number is, adding people to your database. If you do nothing else, add your database and call them. That's the second.
Good.
You gotta call them too and stay in touch with them.
All right, good. Kelly, we lost you for a second. So what we're answering is, what is the last one thing everybody needs to run and do? I'm going to come back to you just to give you 30 seconds to think about it. Diane, what about you?
I believe it all starts with being authentically curious about people. Being authentically curious about people and intentionally listening and engaging in conversations with people and waking up every day, not thinking about who you're going to sell, but who is it that you're going to help? Because if you can get out of your brain that you're needing to sell somebody today and get into your brain that you want to find somebody to help, and that is your mindset, you will attract people, right? That's a ninja thing. Don't chase people. When you chase people, they run away. Don't chase people, attract them to you by being authentically curious about them.
Wonderful. Kelly, did that give you enough time?
Yes, for computer restart. Thank you. I would say to track everything, every face-to-face, every real estate related conversation you're having, because it's going to produce. And that way you can allow yourself to celebrate the small wins of even failed offers. You're not winning for clients, you're tracking fall throughs throughout the year. You have to celebrate the small wins of what you're taking to get there too. So if you're tracking every single thing you're doing, every real estate related conversation you have, whether it's on social media or in a text or face-to-face, it's going to add up.
Good. All right. This was phenomenal. You all were fantastic panelists. So thank you all very much. Everybody that's on, go ahead and throw in the chat your favorite thing from the day as I do a wrap up here. So go ahead and throw that in the chat. What's your big takeaway? I'll tell you all, it sounds to me like we're going to have a great second half to the year. And I would say every time when some folks see a threat to this business, there are those that see the opportunity. And so are you going to take a perceived threat and turn it into an opportunity so that you can dominate in the second half of the year? If you've not already done so, look at your calendar, set aside an hour or 2 hours to do a review with yourself to figure out what you need to continue to do. As Sunny said, maybe stop doing something and maybe add something to your business for the second half of the year. Panelists, Sunny, Allison, Diane, and Kelly, thank you all so much for being here. This has been a great Tate Talk Live. We'll be back together in August as a company for Tate Talk Live, and stay tuned for that topic. It's going to be fantastic. We can't wait for it. Thank you all. It was good to see you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.